this show going, man.
Hurry up, hurry up! Hurry up! Hurry up!
Hurry up!
Come on now. We're going to have action soon. Right here. It ain't going nowhere.
Boy, yeah, you got some technique, boy. You ain't show me that this summer.
Hey, wild cat.
Ball at the 5, third down and 2.
That was bad.
Let's go have some fun, bro. We ain't got to talk about too much.
He wasn't playing the ball.
It's holding.
Cliff. The Cliff. How is that not called?
That ain't going to call a damn thing.
What is the delay for? He's standing right there.
He's taking a card out. He's a piece of paper.
It's that close? Dear Lord.
Hello and welcome. We are the Aussie Guys. I'm AJ. Here with me is G. How are you, G?
Very well, mate. First week of football, pumped. Some good games, some bad games.
Some
great
fantastic
teams, some bad teams, some surprises, some not surprises. Had everything.
I tell you, the Thursday night football game was a letdown. It was a bad start to the week, and I'm not just talking about the Falcons.
mate.
I'm sorry, but
Every right to say that. Every right to say
it was just a bad
and
game.
it's not going to get any better either, I don't think, for the Falcons, unfortunately.
No, but it was just a bad football game.
Yeah, it's just a badly organised offence.
Well, yes. But listen,
Sarkisian's learnt absolutely nothing from last year.
No, sadly. But listen, we've got a guest on the line. Let's introduce him before we get rid of all the really good, juicy topics from week one. We have Randy Young, DFF Memphis from the Dynasty War Zone. He's been on here lots of times, and we couldn't get our regular guest on. No, I'm just kidding. And we really love having him on. He's a fantastic guest. Randy, warm welcome.
Brother.
Good morning, guys. I guess good evening, guys. How are you?
No, we're all good, mate. We're all good. How are you? And thanks for coming on bright and early. And just off mic, you were saying, how have you started your day? What is it? You don't drink coffee, but you have got a can of something?
I got a big can of energy drink. And yes, I know they're bad for me. And yes, I know I've seen the videos on social media of people cleaning grease off of workbench. You know, the hell that I've put this body through over the years, a little energy drink's not going to hurt me. So, yeah, I'm just enjoying I believe it's a White Monster is what it's called. And I'm just sitting here talking to my two favorite Australians.
Thanks, bud. So, hold on. Now, when I was in the States, I remember that, you used to be able to... Here you can get... I think Gatorade was really big back when I was there, and I don't think you can get a Gatorade under a litre, if I remember correctly, but... I'm probably wrong.
They cut that back a little bit. You can get a Gatorade. I think the smallest one's like a 16 or 20 ounce. I don't know how that translates to milliliters, but
650.
There you go.
750 mil.
Is it?
It's probably a 5. It's probably a 0.5, which is weird because everything else in the States is the weird U.S. system of measurement, but like all of our bottled water and drinks are like all on the metric system. So I think the smallest one would be a half liter, which would be like about 17 ounces.
Okay. So how big's the energy drink you're drinking this morning? Half a litre?
Just over. It's 24 ounces. So yeah, about 3/4 of a liter.
And you'll be bouncing off the walls until when? When's the come down? Maybe 10 o'clock. Just after you've hit the gym, you have the what is it? The overshoot, or whatever it is.
You just keep fueling the machine. You just keep, you just
banging on one.
No, I'm not like drinking pre-workout or anything. I'm not, going too crazy, but I wanted to have some energy. I wanted to be up. I knew I was going to be on a fantastic podcast with a couple of good dudes, so I didn't want to be all frumpy and just fresh out of the bed and tired.
Yeah, just don't follow it with any yeckies, all right? That's the recipe for disaster, you young buck.
No, mix it with that vodka.
That's right.
It's way too early for vodka. Bourbon goes good with breakfast here in the States.
Oh, beautiful.
Very nice.
They
listen,
love the sugary stuff, don't they?
Week one of the NFL dropped, as I mentioned at the top. Thursday night football was a letdown, not just because the Falcons played poorly. Both teams played poorly. It wasn't a good game.
No, it wasn't at all.
But then when week one proper got underway, we were in for a treat because, man, there were some fantastic games. Boys, did you have any particular highlights from week one that you wanted to mention?
Me personally, it was Michael Thomas. And my goodness, 17 targets for, and turned it into 16 receptions for 180 yards. That game was the highlight, the Saints and the Buccaneers. I mean, who would have ever thought that it was going to be 48-40, nothing but, like from a fantasy football standpoint, nothing but points. definitely not expecting that. And if you do like any survivor pools or eliminator pools, and you had the Saints taking out Fitzmagic and the Buccaneers in Week 1, well, I guess there's always next year's survivor pool.
Which was
it probably halved.
Reasonable
It
pick.
probably halved, I reckon, the survivor pool. But from the same game, mate, Fitzmagic, like, he had the legs going too. Runs a touchdown in, and there's a couple of runs. It looks like he's moving on the spot, basically. But, mate, it was great. He was enjoying. You could really see that he was enjoying it. Even when he got his helmet ripped off, mate, he was smiling about it. If you can see it through the beard, but his eyes sort of a bit like Santa's when he looks happy. You know, you can tell he's smiling. It was a really look. I've watched every game so far except my internet with 3 people jumping online. You know, PlayStation going, my wife watching goddamn Netflix, and me trying to watch Game Pass.
What's Netflix?
Netflix. What's it called? Netflix.
Oh, Netflix.
I don't watch that. I don't watch all that stuff. I don't know about you, Randers. I don't watch a lot of
I'm just
TV.
ragging on you. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. So I didn't get to watch the Cardinals game and the Washington, but I just watched the Jets absolutely destroy the Lions in the third quarter. That was just hard to watch.
I fell in love in that game. I fell in love with young Sam Darnold. My goodness. You are on the road on Monday Night Football in front of a rabid, domed crowd in Detroit. Your very first pass as a professional is a pick six, and then you just brush it off, and you come back out and you play so well. That told me everything that about that kid. I don't mind the pick six. Turnovers are going to happen. Here in the States, they say shooters are going to shoot. And you know what? He made a bad play. He said he was nervous. And he came back, and they won that game pretty handily, and that was all I need to see. I've been out making offers on Sam Darnold in all my Superflex leagues. I'm a big fan. I am sold. Did you guys? And then before I pass it over back to you guys, and Matt Stafford is one tough son of a gun. My goodness, that man took an ass whipping the other night and just kept getting right back up. So, are you guys in love with Darnold like I am?
Well, Darnold was our
number one.
It was our number one QB coming out in this class.
Consensus.
But I really liked how he like on an interview later on at the what was it, post game, he said it couldn't get any worse, could it? Like, you throw a pick with your first throw, and he goes, it's all uphill from here.
Right.
And look, he could have seriously, at someone who's the youngest starting rookie quarterback in the history of the NFL. Is that right?
Yes, it is right.
Okay, so
yes.
Like 50 years, yeah.
Yep. So you've got that, and the composure that he showed, like it was just back in the huddle. It's like it hasn't happened. Start again, and mate, he just rallied the whole offense. And look, it wasn't just the offense that won the game. It was really a whole team effort.
Yeah.
But it was just incredible how he just picked himself up off the floor, dusted himself off. It's going to happen. On with business.
And they don't have a quarterbacks coach in New England, and I don't know what they're paying Josh McCown as a backup quarterback, but he's worth every single nickel. Every time they showed Darnold on the sideline, there was Josh McCown standing beside him, coaching him, mentoring him. There's this GIF I saw on Twitter of how they were even actually like fixing their hair the same way at the same time.
I've seen that. Yeah,
they're like in lockstep, and I tell you what, that just shows. You know, McCown was a coach. I think the Jets or the Buccaneers pulled him off of the couch where he was a civilian and coaching high school football somewhere here in the States. And now he's coaching up his, star quarterback. And I think that's very cool of him. I really like Josh McCown.
Yes, and I like how you said Sam Darnold said you threw pick six. Well, it can't get any worse from here. Nathan Peterman, hold my beer.
I said the other day, it's like Nathan Peterman has to convince me he actually is right-handed. I don't believe it. Maybe he's really left-handed. He's just pulling a rib on us.
But he should be enjoying this final year of wearing a football uniform.
Final week.
Oh, look, they'll probably keep him just in case of emergency, break glass. But I think he's seen probably his final season as a quarter, if it makes it that far, exactly, AJ, if it makes it that far as a quarterback. Because, okay, granted, it was a terrible day there.
Yes.
It was windy. It was raining. It was shocking. And look, it wasn't just him. People were dropping balls everywhere and slipping out of people's hands. But it comes down to decisions, Randers, and his decisions aren't good.
Well, it's not just that. It's that there's not very many weapons around him there in Buffalo, and he's over his skis. I mean, he has no clue. And we've been doing some like games against the spread on the Warzone. We're sponsored by a gambling website that takes football bets, and we're doing a contest, me and my co-host Jerry, and no one's allowed to pick the game of Buffalo because we consider Buffalo to be like a free space. Mm-hmm. So whoever's playing Buffalo, like that was one of our free space games of the week, is the Chargers are giving up 7. They're going to be mad as a hornet going in there to Buffalo after losing to Kansas City the way that they did. And I think they're just going to go in there and hang a beating on the Buffalo Bills. And, people probably dropped the Chargers defense in fantasy last week because they had a bad game against Kansas City. Man, pick those Chargers up. If someone in your league dropped them and you're looking to stream a defense this week, pick up the Chargers. They're going to be going into Buffalo, and they're either going to be facing Peterman or Allen, and you'll have a chance to have a nice little streamer play.
I was going to talk about my boy Paddy, but I didn't. Every week I talk about him, so I thought I don't want to add him to the list when AJ was talking about what did you enjoy this week, because he looked fall in love all over again.
Everything you hoped.
Yep. It's like seeing your first girlfriend. You see her 20 years later, and she looks just as good as the day that we first dating her. You just fall in love all over again. It's like that every time I watch him. He looked fantastic. How'd you see it, Randy?
Same thing. I would just be cautious that he only completed 15 of 27 passes,
and a couple of rain on my parade. Come on, brother.
No, not trying to rain on it. I'm just trying to keep you realistic.
Okay.
I don't think that every week's going to be a 4-touchdown week. Although with Tyreek Hill, I can't prove that.
That first pass that he threw to Tyreek Hill on the crossing route, the pass was more amazing than the run for the touchdown, because as soon as he caught the ball, no one was going to catch him. No. That was gone. But the way he threw, it was like a sidearm baseball pitch, wasn't it? It was just on the money.
Patrick Mahomes, I mean, you have to remember, that's basically his first real start. Now, I know he started week 17 last year, but they were playing for nothing, and it was just to get him some snaps under center. That was legitimately his first real, I guess I'll call it serious NFL game, because week 17 last year, the Chiefs were playing for nothing. So, I mean, he's basically a rookie, and he looked real well, and he's got good weapons. He still has Sammy Watkins and Travis Kelce. Hopefully he remembers that they're all on the same team with him, and it's not the Tyreek Hill show. But I will say this, on the Tyreek Hill front, how is Marvin Lewis in Cincinnati not looking at Tyreek Hill and thinking to myself, man, I've got to get John Ross, who's equally as fast, at least at a combine. Ross holds the record in the 40. You got to ask yourself, why is Marvin Lewis and Bill Lazor, the offensive coordinator, why are they not doing some of that stuff with with John Ross?
Because it's Marvin Lewis?
I was going to say, the flaw in your argument was when you said, why isn't Marvin Lewis? And there you go, you've answered your question.
I guess someone has to be the new Jeff Fisher or John Fox, and I guess Marvin Lewis has assumed that role.
I guess he has. A few other news items quickly, guys. So we sort of alluded to some of these. So obviously Josh Allen is the starter versus the LA Chargers this week in Buffalo. Kenneth Dixon is on IR. He could return after week 8. They haven't necessarily tagged him as designated to return yet, but it's a possibility.
Enjoy your last year in Baltimore.
Kenneth Dixon. The Jets D, which obviously we also spoke about how they demolished the Lions and Matthew Stafford. Some of the players on the Jets D said they knew what players were coming. So it doesn't say much from Matt Patricia's start of his tenure in Detroit, however long that ends up being.
We've got another brooding coach on the sideline, haven't we?
Yeah, it's not what you want the defense saying, is that they knew what plays were going to be called. The Le'Veon Bell situation continues to drag out, guys. It's now getting to the point where it feels like it's a matter of pride, and maybe if he's not reported now, he's not going to. Or not until when? Is it week 10 that he has to report for the year to count?
Yes.
So,
how do you see that one, Randers? What do you think's going to go on there?
I think the purpose of this is to keep miles off of his tires so that he has more resale value in the offseason as a free agent. It's obvious he's going somewhere else, but it doesn't help his case when James Conner is out there in the exact same offense killing it. Now, is he as versatile and is he as important to the offense as Lev Bell? No. But we saw real quickly the other day that James Conner can be a serviceable replacement. And I forget the stats, but there was something about points per game and win percentage with or without Le'Veon Bell, and it's not that much different for the Steelers. So I can completely see why the Steelers would not pay him, $14 million a year guaranteed. But Adam Schefter tweeted out Sunday, I think it was right after the kickoff of the 1 o'clock games, that Le'Veon Bell plans to report right before Week 5, so the first Sunday in October. So I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, I've also seen theories out there where he will not report until Week 10 when he absolutely has to. But at that point, I think James Conner is pretty much ingrained as the starter in that offense. And if the Steelers are doing okay, why would you mix things up? I mean, what do you guys think?
They used him a hell of a lot, and let's face it, it's his second year. Okay, he's not a rookie anymore, but he hardly really carried the ball last year. He had injuries last year, and if you're going to feed a guy that much, I don't know how long he can. He's not got the seasons on him that Bell has when they fed him that much. I don't know if he can hold up. Look, he might hold up for half a season, but or 4 games. They got to introduce. This is the problem they've always had when they've had Lev Bell there. They just feed him and feed him. They hardly give him a rest, and now they're doing exactly the same to James Conner. You got
Jalen Samuels.
You got Jalen Samuels sitting there, and was he even suited up? Did he even get on the field?
I don't think he was.
Like, you got to mix it up. This is a guy in his second year. I don't know how long he can sustain 20-odd carries every week. And look, he's not like Bell. He can't avoid tackles as well as Bell can.
He's pretty good though, James Conner.
Yeah, but he's a very physical runner.
But Lev Bell is an elite runner.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. He's learned how to miss tackles and not get hit. Like Conner look, he runs around people and he can run through arm tackles and all that. But he also just gets cleaned up. I don't know. And you've got, who else have you got behind him? You've got Samuels, and he's the only one.
I just looked. It was Stephen Ridley and Roosevelt Nix were the Steelers to suit up on Sunday. And to G's point, he's absolutely right. James Conner led the league last week in attempts. He had 31 attempts for 135.
You can't do that.
Well, then you tack on the 5 receptions.
Yep.
So that's 36 times where, he had the ball in his hand. And James Conner's a bigger back, but part of the reason why Le'Veon Bell is able to handle, 350 to upwards of 400 touches a season is because he tends to avoid contact. He gets tackled, get out of the way. There, he doesn't take those big collisions, and I don't think that James Conner, again to G's point, that he can run with that type of aggressive running style and handle that volume. I don't think anybody can.
No, I have a problem with it. I don't think he can do it, and I think Tomlin's had a history with Bell just using one for some reason, just as uses one running back.
No. He
had D'Angelo Williams there, and he didn't use D'Angelo Williams until Bell got hurt.
Yes, no, that's very true. It is obviously in Tomlin's MO. Well, let's jump into... now, we've got to think of a better name for this segment, G. I don't know if you've got a better name. Sit, start. What is it called?
I'll come up with something.
Let's do sit and start.
We'll edit something in. We'll put a sound drop in. Just 90% spice it up.
The people listening have just tuned... Oh, sit and start. How boring.
I know.
We had... What were we doing last year? Trash and Flash? No. Or was that... I can't remember.
Trash and Flash is good.
Trash and Flash is good. Okay, so, Randy, you're our guest. So we'll go around to the positions, quarterback, running back, wide receiver.
I haven't done positions. I've just done anybody. It's first week in.
You haven't got a quarterback?
No, I don't have a quarterback.
Sit and start quarterback? No. Randy, have you got a quarterback to start this week?
I do. I'm going back to Phillip Rivers. Again, he's going to Buffalo. Everybody against Buffalo. You just saw Joe Flacco throw, I think it was 3 touchdowns against these here Bills, and it will not be long before that team packs it in for 2019. So my start quarterback, and I think he's going to be a great play all year, is going to be Phillip Rivers this week.
Nice one. I've got a quarterback. You see if you can find a quarterback.
I didn't know I needed one.
Randy, you won't like mine.
I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. It's the first week in.
My quarterback is Alex Smith. He's playing the Colts this week. In week 1, he had 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no picks. Very businesslike. He's really hit his stride in Washington, and I think he's going to... I mean, the Indy defense doesn't scare anyone. I'm sorry, Randy, but it doesn't.
Not yet, but if you IDP fantasy football players, remember the name Darius Leonard as a linebacker to be looking at in the not-too-distant future.
Oh, the not-too-distant future starts already. He's already hit his stride, and he's way ahead. At the moment, not talent-wise, but ahead of Roquan Smith, ahead of Rashaan Evans. He's hit his stride straight away, Randers, so that's good.
I'm very excited for him. In fantasy and in football in general, the defensive guys don't get enough love, but there you go. There's a little... but against this Washington team, Mr. Leonard will be put to work early and often. And
also nice to have Clayton Gathers back. He's back in perfect form as well.
Malik Hooker. It's good to have Malik Hooker, our number 1 draft pick from the 2017 draft. He went out with an ACL about 5 games in the 2017 season.
Now, do you have any sit quarterbacks to park on the bench this week?
Yeah, Mr. Fitzmagic. Don't let that beautiful beard fool you. He's in for a world of trouble this week. I know he was the number 1 overall quarterback last week in fantasy, but I tell you right now, he's got a date with the Philadelphia Eagles, and yes, I know it's at home, but Ryan Fitzmagic seems to have 2 games like this a season whenever he's a starter, and I think the party's over this week. Be careful. I know in some Superflex leagues and things like that, you've got to roll him out there, especially if you own Fitzmagic and Jameis Winston. But temper expectations. That Philadelphia defense is nasty, and that is who he's playing this week. He's also going to be without the services of Deshaun Jackson. Looks like he's got a shoulder injury, and I think maybe even a concussion. So definitely temper expectations with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
That Philly defense is absolutely no joke. I've got 2 sits. I've got Ryan Tannehill. Now, the Dolphins are at the Jets. That Jets D is absolutely balling. And week 1 versus Tennessee, Tannehill had 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. But I just think that Jets D is going to make life very uncomfortable for him. And the other one I've got is Derek Carr at Denver. I want to talk about that.
Okay. You just took mine.
Oh, did I?
You're just so greedy. You are.
I'm so greedy.
The one. Look, I agree. Like Derek Carr, 2 years ago he was wearing the glass slipper. Now he's turned. The whole thing just turned into a massive pumpkin, hasn't it? Because he looked terrible. And look,
it's only 1 week.
Not everything was on him.
No.
In the first week, but
a lot of it was.
Randy, I don't know about you, mate, but I don't know if you saw it, but was he just... I said to AJ, we were watching, I said, it looked like he tried to just lob that out of bounds and just didn't throw it hard enough.
He said in the press conference after. He said he was...
If you're going to throw the ball away, throw the ball into the stand.
He said he was trying to throw it away, but he kind of semi-changed his mind, and then it came out of his hand. He's like, oh, my goodness.
Well, semi-changed your mind to what?
Throwing it away.
Yeah, but...
It was
what made you semi-change your mind? What, the wide receiver that's covered by 3 guys?
Yeah, I don't know. It was just a very bad decision. But anyway.
Yeah, so...
And that not the defense to get cute against there in LA, because that's a really good defense.
My word.
And it's only going to get better. And Derek Carr, that tells me all I need to know. No, I did not hear that. But if you're that indecisive at the quarterback position, you have to be out there. You've got to make lightning quick decisions, and they're not all going to be perfect, but you can't half-ass it and say, oh, well, I'm going to throw it away. Well, then maybe not, because stuff like that happens. So
yeah.
I hadn't heard that, but that's definitely a concern for all your pass-catching Raiders, unless your name's Jared Cook.
Yeah, look, the cornerbacks in
Jared Cook.
The cornerbacks in LA are no joke. They are fantastic. I mean, like, it wasn't any coincidence that Jared Cook was the only one who could really find space, because that defense is seriously good.
I just found in the end, Gruden was just outmatched, wasn't he?
Yep.
By Wade Phillips in the end.
Yes. No, that's a fair call. Let's go to running back. Randy, you've got some running backs to start this week, or a running back.
I've got a tandem out of Washington, Adrian Peterson and Chris Thompson. And yes, I'm picking up against my Colts, but if you're using Adrian Peterson for fantasy purposes, use him early. Older gentleman, I'm afraid he might wear down. Yep. He had 26 rush attempts last week against the Cardinals, so I think those will pile up. And don't be surprised as Fat Rob Kelly or Samaje Perine are more healthy if they don't start taking some of the workload from him toward the back end of games, especially if they're ahead like they were this past Sunday. And I love Chris Thompson. He only played 33 snaps last week, and he had an ultra-productive day, and he's just going to be amazing. A leopard does not change his spots, and there's one thing Alex Smith has always done throughout his career, and it keeps his turnovers low, but he hits the tight end and the running back a lot. So I see a lot of pass catches for Chris Thompson and just being ultra-productive against my pitiful Colts.
Gee, have you got a running back?
I do have a running back.
Hey.
Mine's probably a little bit. Not your looking at your top guys.
No.
Probably a little bit lower. But we've got Sonny Michel still not back. We now have Jeremy Hill with an ACL.
Yeah.
We have Rex Burkhead in the concussion protocol.
Yes.
And James White looked great. He's just one of those sort of guys. This is the first year I've owned James White, and I just traded him actually.
Yes, you did.
Because I needed some more wide receivers. So he's sort of one of those guys. I don't know when to play him.
Yes.
But with everything that's happening in New England at the moment, in PPR, you have to be like a flex spot starter for sure. 4 receptions, 38 yards, and he always gets that sneaky touchdown, doesn't he? And 5 for 18 on the ground, well, he might get a few more this week, but that's not why you're picking him up. You're picking him up for his PPR value. So
okay. Very good.
Chuck him in a flex spot.
Hit us with another one. I think you said a couple. No?
No, I didn't have a
I've got... Okay, I'll add to it. I've got Jay Ajayi at Tampa Bay this week. Now, week 1, the running back that played against Tampa Bay was one A. Kamara, and he had...
You're not going to put him in the same rowboat, are you?
Not quite. Just by point of demonstration, he had 29...
Jay Ajayi's the guy that sort of, as the ship's leaving, he undoes the rope that holds the boat, and the real passengers sort of, disappear, and he just stands on the dock, and that's what Kamara is to Jay Ajayi, sorry.
Okay, but anyway, Jay, all right.
That's a fantastic reference.
But Jay Ajayi did have 69 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in week 1.
I don't need to be reminded.
But at Tampa Bay is not stopping anything. But interestingly, I don't know if you know this, but Kamara had only 29 rushing yards. He did have 2 touchdowns on the ground, but he had 112 receiving yards. So,
but that's really what he is, though, isn't it?
It is,
isn't it, Randy? He's a PPR monster. He's a receiving back,
and that's the new age NFL.
Yeah.
A good friend, his name's Addison Hayes. He owns a website called ffstatistics.com, and if you go look and start tracking some of this modern NFL offense, you'll see that the outside wide receiver is just not what it was back in its heyday. You see that the slot receiver, the tight end, and the involvement of the running backs in the passing game, it's increased pass percentage of the quarterbacks. And Alvin Kamara, and New England's done this for years, where they use the short passing game as an extension of the running game. It's no different. You're just getting a really talented guy to football and getting him in a position to make some plays. Exactly right.
Offenses are going, why throw a 50-50 ball up when we can have guys like Kamara, the slot guys that they've got the break on, they've got a half a step on guys anyway. They're a safe option, and we keep control of the football. We're not turning it over.
Okay, what about guys that we're going to park on the bench this week? Running backs, Randers.
This guy's a personal favorite, but I'm going to be parking Mr. Isaiah Crowell. I know it's good to look at if you just look at his stat line for Monday night, you see 12 attempts for just over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, which looks good on paper. But I think that Bilal Powell is the running back to play there. He's more of the pass catcher, which you didn't see a lot of that because they were ahead a majority of that game on Monday night. And I don't think that Miami defense is that bad. I mean, they held Derrick Henry to, I think it was 10 rushes for 26 yards. Now, Dion Lewis, who was much more involved in the passing game, had a really nice day, well over 20 PPR fantasy points. So if I had to play a Jets back this week, I would much rather play Bilal Powell, and I would be benching Isaiah Crowell if I had better options.
Well, it's a nice segue into mine because I've got Derrick Henry.
Really?
And yeah, I do. Versus Houston.
Did you just look at the box score?
No.
Okay. You didn't see the touchdown run that he had that was called back?
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
What was it? Randers about 61 yards or 60 something?
Yeah, 60-yard called back on a holding penalty. But that would have changed his day considerably.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But I'm with AJ on this one right here. I am anti Derrick Henry. He looks like he's never had more than 13 receptions in a season going back to high school, and it's a PPR world. I mean, if he has 60 yards and no touchdowns, that's 6 PPR points. Dion Lewis can chip in 4 receptions for 20 yards and just did the same thing on 4 plays. And I can't always count on him breaking a long run for a touchdown. So I completely agree, especially, and he's got like a murderer's row of defenses coming up. I think it's Houston, then Jacksonville, and then Philadelphia, I believe, are his next 3 games. So I can't blame AJ for fading Derrick Henry this week.
I can't either because Dion Lewis looked the better back.
Yeah, well, Dion Lewis had more carries than
he just outside of that, he just looked better with the carries he had. He's just a hard guy to get your hands on.
Let's go to wide receiver. Who are we going to start, Randers, at wide receiver?
I know this might sound crazy, but I'm starting Josh Gordon. And I don't know if the Saints will put Marshawn Lattimore on him or Crowley on him. I don't think it's going to matter. He only had 3 targets the other day, but he had a beautiful, beautiful touchdown to tie the game for Cleveland. And I just see this being much better. That weather was terrible on Sunday. This game's in the Dome and a fast track, and I think they're going to look to get Josh Gordon on target. I don't think that Jarvis Landry can have another 15 targets like he did on Sunday, because where does Jarvis Landry look? And I'll give you a side note on a sit. I don't know what to do with Duke Johnson yet, because it seems like a lot of those 15 targets would have been some of Duke Johnson's in last year. So just something to keep an eye on there, the relationship in the short passing game between Tyrod Taylor, Jarvis Landry, and Duke Johnson. But my wide receiver start, and it's going to be a fun game to watch, is going to be Josh Gordon matched up against these 2 corners.
Hang on, who's Tyrod Taylor? It's Tyrod, isn't it? I believe. Tyrod Taylor.
Someone's been saying Tyrod, but then he came out like 2 weeks after that story came out, and he called himself Tyrod.
Really?
I just gonna call him Ty Goat.
I am not really on board. I'm almost on board. It's only the Taylor factor, the T Taylor factor. If Baker were under centre, I'd be 100% on board with you.
I agree. I was watching Josh Gordon last week, and he looked okay. Didn't get a lot of separation, but he's not the sort of guy. And even some of the jump balls, I didn't think he looked. It's almost as though he didn't look confident in himself at times. That's just how I saw it. I've got a guy that's also I've put down as my deep starter this week as well.
Okay,
as a starter, and that's Mike Williams.
The Chargers.
In LA,
oh,
yes, yeah. LA Chargers, Mike Williams. Like, this is how they should line up. Keenan Allen, because he doesn't, mate. If he drops a ball, it's only because, mate, he's got like 3 guys hanging off him.
Yes,
and then alongside him should be Mike Williams.
Yep.
They should be the 2 starting
X and Y.
Yep.
And
without a doubt,
Terrell Williams.
Really?
Yes.
It'd be nice if you could hold a touchdown pass. Would be great. This is what I was asking before about, is Rivers a guy that not holds the grudge, but he remembers who catches the ball? And I don't think Mike Williams put down a ball.
Really?
And he looked good.
Okay.
And Rivers has come out and said he's like Vincent Jackson.
Yeah, he is a lot like Vincent Jackson, I agree.
So I've got Mike Williams as a start. He 5 for 81, and he caught everything thrown his way.
Very nice. I'm going to add to our growing list with Kenny Stills at the New York Jets. Kenny Stills had a great week 1. There's almost no one else in that Miami passing game, I'm afraid, that wide receiver core. Devontae Parker is... I'm not much chop for Devontae Parker anymore. I was a believer, not anymore.
Did he play?
No, he didn't play. That's what I mean. With him out, there's not a whole lot in that passing attack. So Kenny Stills is the dude by proxy, but he's also good.
There's someone I really want to put in, but
Who's that?
I think Marquise Goodwin's going to be back this week. Do you think he's going to be back, Randers? Because that corky that he got, just the way that it looked bad. It looked more than just a corky in the quad.
He did. Goodwin did miss practice on Wednesday. I tell you what, G, it could be good things for the guy that you made me a big fan of, and that's Dante Pettis.
Yeah.
Got 2 passes, 1 for a touchdown in his debut last week against a very good Minnesota defense. And I'll tell you, outside of George Kittle, I'm not completely sold on Marquise Goodwin, and I will continue. It's funny because allegedly Kyle Shanahan banged the table. I'm going to keep banging the table for Dante Pettis. The 49ers traded up 3 picks to get this guy. You know, it's one thing to bang on a table and then draft a guy. It's another thing to move 3 picks for 1 pick to draft a guy. That tells me they really like that guy. So keep a close eye on Mr. Dante Pettis.
And look, he's up against the Lions this week. It's just got they got torched by the Jets receivers. And if you go and watch the game, have a look. If you just watch his footwork, he seriously burns everybody off the line just with his footwork. He's incredible. And I think what he's shown, I think Shanahan knows what he has, and now he was given the opportunity now with Goodwin going out of the game. It gave Shanahan, okay, let's see what he does in real football. He went in against a really good defense in a hostile environment, and I think he dropped the ball, and you know everybody does it. You know, he's a rookie. But the touchdown pass was a fantastic reach. I reckon he's got the best set of hands coming out of this class. And just go and have a look at the guy's footwork. And I think Shanahan's seen now that I've put him in the spotlight and he's shone, I think big things.
Okay, let's go to the other side of that coin. Oof. Randy, who you sitting?
I'm sitting a long-time personal favorite, and that's Mr. Larry Fitzgerald. He is going up to do battle with that same LA Rams defense that held Amari Cooper in check last week.
Yep.
Sam Bradford did not look confident in himself. I think this is a David Johnson game. We'll talk about one of my waiver wire guys here in a minute and the passing game there in Oakland. But, you know, I said this about Amari Cooper last week, and I'll say it this week about Fitzgerald, is that there's nowhere to run. If you line up on one side of the field, you got to deal with Marcus Peters. And even if you try to move inside to the slot, I believe that Aqib Talib will shadow. And this is going to be a really tough game for Larry. I could see Ricky Seals-Jones. Could be the official tight end of the Dynasty Warzone, Ricky Seals-Jones. I could see him having a big game in the same vein as Jared Cook did last week. So maybe he's a streamer tight end. He was not my tight end start of the week. But, yeah, I'm fading Larry this week. What about you guys? Who are you guys fading?
Well, just talking about with Amari Cooper. Is Amari Cooper the guy? He's not the guy. I don't think he's the guy that we think he was going to be. But is it also a fact that if you look at the way that the ball was distributed by Gruden...
No, hang on.
He didn't throw to Jordy Nelson.
No.
He didn't throw to Amari Cooper. He used the tight end because that was the weak link. And in the second half, it was either Jared Cook... No, did I say throw to Amari Cooper? Yeah. Throw to Jared Cook, sorry.
Yeah.
And he threw to... Jalen Richard, the Frenchman.
But hang on a second, because that was basically the first thing that was asked of Gruden in the post-game, and he said they called Cooper and Jordy Nelson's number quite a lot. It's just that they were so covered that it just wasn't an option. That was what happened. Those guys were just basically blanketed. It does say something about the Raiders, but it says a lot about the Rams.
Does it say something about Amari Cooper can't shake a tag?
Also might say something about Carr, that he sort of was like, nah, next read.
Okay.
Because Gruden was calling their numbers.
Yep.
So just a nice segue into because I've got Jordy Nelson as my...
I have Jordy Nelson as well.
Yeah, now did
you see the look at him on the sideline?
Yeah.
I think he was sitting there going, I miss Aaron. What am I doing here?
He was on the field for 72.
I know the money's good.
72 out of 74 snaps he was on the field, but he just, man. Anyway, so I think you've got to sit Jordy until that Raiders offense gets sorted, because there's some sorting that needs to happen, some fixing. I was going to say tinkering, more than tinkering.
Or sometimes do you just trust Jordy, throw the ball, and just trust him to go and get the ball?
Exactly. That's what you got to do. That's what you paid the guy to do. He's got the cred. He's got the runs on the board. Do it. Absolutely.
And I was gonna put in. No one's gonna be starting him anyway. But when I was talking about the Bills and how bad the Bills are, even I reckon that from the first snap of the game, I'm thinking, are they actually trying? They just didn't look like Mr. Edmonds. Well, he's a rookie and a half. Terrell Edmonds, linebacker.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he looked great.
Yes.
He looked good.
Yeah.
And he looks huge.
He is huge.
In the middle. I know. He just looks so big in the middle of the field. But the other guy I was going to bring up was Kelvin Benjamin. And mate, I've written down here.
No,
I guarantee it was no. I know.
Huge.
He had 6 inches in just standing height and add arm length and jump capabilities and still got murdered. I likened him here, a soft laxative induced turd. That's how soft he is.
Wow.
I don't know what to make of that.
Off that volley. Poor Josh Allen. You're going to get murdered out there. Against the Ravens. You're behind. The defense has got their ears pinned back and they're ready to rip your head off. And you throw a nice pass and you hit fat Kelvin Benjamin. It goes right through his butterfingers. It hits him right in the stomach. Come on, Kelvin Benjamin.
But he's just really. He looks real for a guy his size. Right, he doesn't play his size.
You can tell that he's a guy who plays football for money, which I get they all play football for money. Mm. But I'll give you a couple of, like we talked about Matt Stafford earlier, and quarterbacks get the label of being soft and pampered. Matt Stafford took a beating the other night and kept coming back for more because he likes to play football. Devonta Freeman's a guy like that as well. And I don't see any of that hunger and passion for the game. I think he sees football as a way to make a very nice living and put some money in the bank. Yep. And I think he just feels like he just looks like a guy doing his part out there, and he knows that his job is secure. And I've never been a fan.
And look, things might look a little bit different when it's not raining. And now with Josh Allen, who knows?
Who knows?
But
let's go to tight end, and this is always like get all the tight ends, write them on pieces of paper, throw the whole bunch in the air, see which cards land face up. But Randy, who do you have starting?
I look for a good bounce back for Zach Ertz, and it's hard to say, hey, play a top 3 guy. But if you're looking for a deeper guy to play, look for Jonnu Smith in Tennessee. With Delanie Walker going on IR for the year with a busted up ankle, this guy's going to be forced into a game where, outside of Dion Lewis, who do you trust as a pass catcher there? I mean, we all think Corey Davis is going to be good, but he's also fighting a tender hamstring himself. He was limited in practice yesterday. So I'm looking to see what kind of role Jonnu Smith has. So if you had Delanie Walker, or if you're in I don't say a really deep, but if you're in a deep to medium deep dynasty league and you're looking for a stash, Jonnu Smith, if he happens to be out there, might be your guy. But if waivers have ran, you might be out of luck.
Yeah, that's right. With him and Greg Olsen going out at the same time. Look, I'm with you there, and I almost feel like Jonnu Smith is probably not a start this week just because you want to see how it plays out, but he's certainly very talented. And he's the better option of him and Ian Thomas, because Ian Thomas is a rookie, and rookie tight end is, that's hard to pull off, to be honest.
And I've got nothing.
You've got nothing?
No.
Well, I've got something. Ben Watson. 37-year-old Ben Watson versus Cleveland.
Zimmer Ben.
Yeah, Zimmer Ben. I think maybe he's 4th in the pecking order. So you've got Kamara, you've got Ginn, you've got
Michael Thomas, of course.
He's handy. He's handy. And then you've got Ben Watson. So, mind you, that Cleveland defense is looking pretty decent. Above average, for sure. But I think Ben Watson is going to... and they might... Look, who knows? They might need him to do some work across the middle. Ben Watson.
Mate, it's pretty much with tight ends, Randy. If you've got one, you start him anyway, aren't you, really?
I mean, it does not take much. I'd have to pull it up, but Kyle Rudolph had 1 catch for 11 yards and a touchdown, and I think he was top 12 at the position.
Right, there you go.
Right.
Week, so they're all kind of dart throws.
Yep.
Yes, they are. So what about a sit option, Randy?
For me, Tyler Lockett. I'm not sure about Tyler Lockett. Tyler Eifert. Wrong Tyler. Tyler Eifert there in Cincinnati. It was great to see him back. They had him on a pitch count last week because he's an injury-prone fella. And he could be a red zone option for them, but I would have to be awful desperate to play Tyler Eifert against that Ravens defense that's pretty stingy against the tight end. So I'm going to fade Tyler Eifert. Great to see him back. I think there will be plenty of spot starts for him this year, as he will be I believe by the time the season's over, he'll be the number 2 option in the passing game. If he stays healthy, gets stronger, gets more in tune, because he's missed a lot of time with Andy Dalton, then you could have a nice little play, but that nice little play is not this week. I'm passing on Tyler Eifert.
Nice. Gee.
Well, I've got Cameron Brate. Shocking first game. And let's look, pre-season has showed us a lot with Fitzmagic, and he looks more towards OJ Howard than he does towards Cameron Brate. I can't see Cameron Brate doing anything why Fitzmagic's the quarterback with OJ Howard on the ground.
Yeah, good one. And I've got David Njoku, who super athletic guy. We love him. It's a Tyrod Taylor thing, and I don't
know if it's just Tyrod Taylor, mate. He dropped some balls.
Did he?
And Evan Ingram's another one you could put in there, mate. Evan Ingram dropped. I don't know, Rand. I don't know if you saw the game. I reckon he put down 3 balls, 3 easy catches at least.
And according to Pro Football Focus Fantasy, Ingram has the 3rd toughest schedule this year for the tight end. So you add that in, you add in the return of Odell Beckham, you add in Bark, which they did not involve him enough in the passing game for me. Sterling Shepard looked really nice the other day. If you're an Evan Ingram owner, you have to have one eyebrow raised.
Yeah, look, it's not like they didn't throw the ball to him, but he dropped it. He had a great catch in amongst a couple of defenders where he just went out and grabbed it out of their hands, and it got called back on a holding penalty, I think it was. But yeah, just mate, those, and he had the same problem in college as well. You know, just the dropsies, and they look like they're back.
Absolutely. Now, a new segment, G, one which you put forward. Again, the name is boring. I have to think of a better name. Future Waiver Wire. The future waiver. I'm trying to
do that.
Up.
Yeah, we'll put the sound drop in. Don't use your own voice. So these are guys that you want to get that may become future waiver guys. You want to go and grab them now before you sort of looking ahead. These guys you might think, well, after next week's game, they may be available. So, you know, if I go and get ahead of the curve, especially if you're someone like me and you spend your waiver dollars promptly and early in the season, you got to start being a week ahead of everybody else.
Speaking of which, Randy, so this is what I always try and do in SFB because it's super competitive at the waiver wire. And once the waiver's clear, then everyone's free. And you just try and kind of preempt. Even if they're guys who you pick up and like a week or two you're dropping them, you just roll the dice on guys like constantly like that. So that's the kind of the style of this segment. So, Randy, you want to put forward any names, future waiver wire guys?
I do, and he was available in about 50% of my dynasty leagues and all of my redraft leagues, and that's Jalen Richard. I heard G mention his name earlier. And this is the guy, as of right now, is going to be the pass-catching back in Oakland. Yeah. He had 11 targets the other night. He had 9 receptions. Now, are you always going to get 9 receptions? No. I think that was product of game script. But, you know, this is a team that's going to have a lot of negative game script. And John Gruden, you can go back and look at his track record. He's always had a thunder and a lightning, and the lightning being the pass-catching back. So if Marshawn Lynch is your thunder, then I think Jalen Richard is going to be your lightning. He looked okay, and you know, as of right now, he is neck and neck. Him and Zeke Elliott, one's 14 and one's 15 in PPR points right now. So I don't know how long that lasts for Mr. Richard, but that's a guy that I'm definitely looking at. And another guy, if he's available, mostly in redraft, would be Nyheim Hines. I'm a big fan, obviously, for the exact same reason as Richard. He had 9 targets from Andrew Luck, caught 7. And you know, that's PPR gold. And I'll give you one last one, and that's Bruce Ellington. He was available in about 75% of my dynasty leagues. As long as Will Fuller has his issue with tender hamstrings, this guy's going to have a role. And he was on the field for, I believe, 79% of Houston's offensive snaps the other day. Caught a touchdown from Deshaun Watson. So they're my 3 guys. My guys would be Jalen Richard, Nyheim Hines, and Bruce Ellington.
Gee.
Okay, well, I've got the someone we spoke about earlier when we spoke about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's Jalen Samuels, because I don't know if Bell keeps holding out the way he is, and if he's going to not come back to, what was it, week 5?
Yeah.
And then it might turn into, I'll turn up at week 10 and get this year counted and cash the rest of my paychecks and wander off into a big,
maybe
massive figure. Someone will pay him. Someone's going to pay him.
Yeah.
And he knows someone's going to pay him. So Jalen Samuels is someone I'd go and grab. I don't know if Nick Chubb would come under this heading.
Maybe.
He doesn't. He's not seen a lot of ball, but I can tell, mate, every time he gets the ball, his vision is exemplary. He's got great vision, great burst. So he'd be someone that, you know, I'd go and store away. And this is a real flyer, and I only noticed him in the near the end of the game, and that was the Seahawks and Broncos game. And I just caught the back of his jersey, and that's CJ Prosise. Now, Rashad Penny looked less than ordinary. He had a couple of good runs at the end of the fourth quarter when the defense are absolutely spent. So I just think the back's there, and we know what Chris Carson's played, no more than 4 games in a row before they got injured. So just keep an eye on CJ Prosise. He can do everything. They really like him there. When we spoke to Dana, who covers the Seahawks, she said how much that they really like CJ Prosise, hence why he's still on the 53-man roster with all the injuries he's had. So just store it away in the back of your mind.
Interesting. And you guys have not picked any of mine. I listed 4. They might be somewhat obvious. So I put Aaron Jones. He returns week 3. Jamal Williams didn't impress.
But Aaron Jones would already be on a roster somewhere, wouldn't he? On someone's, sitting on someone's bench. You don't think so?
Maybe.
Okay.
Be surprised what people do when they start, if they have that week 1 panic and they got to drop somebody, like I'm going to drop this suspended guy and I'm going to go, pick up this other guy. You always got to look for that, what knuckleheadedness people do.
Well, all of these could, potentially be on someone's roster, because the other one second one I put was Julian Edelman. If he's on a waiver wire, get him now. He returns week 5, and he's going to be instantly productive. I put Chase Edmonds in Arizona. He got some ball. He had 4 receptions and 4 carries for 48 yards. So, and he's a great handcuff, obviously. That's probably the main reason you're really picking him up. And the other guy I put, Randy, you'll back me up on this, Jordan Wilkins. Now,
okay.
Marlon Mack is maybe back this week, but even if he is, Jordan Wilkins, I'm not that big a fan of Mack. What's your take on Jordan Wilkins, Randy?
I like Jordan Wilkins, and Marlon Mack got in a limited practice on Wednesday with the Colts, and I think he's losing valuable time. You see Naheem Hines getting that third down pass catching work, and Jordan Wilkins getting that early work. I don't think Wilkins was great, but I don't want to underestimate or undersell that defensive front in Cincinnati. That's a pretty decent defensive front 4. So, Wilkins is going to continue to get opportunities, but the only Colts running back I'm super high on is Hines. But if I had to rank them personally as a Colts fan, I rank them Hines, Wilkins, Mack.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed.
Well, Hines is a better pass catcher than Mack. And I think that Wilkins is a better between the tackles runner than Mack. So one guy's better at pass catching than you. The other guy's a better pounder than you. Where do you really fit in? And then Bob Turbin's going to be back in a few weeks. So Wilkins is a nice stash. He's a rookie.
Yeah. So listen, next segment, G, and you have named this one.
Have I?
Yes. Pump the brakes. So, pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes.
Yeah.
So who's your pump the brakes player, team, anything you want, coach, Ranners?
Oh, can we do that?
Supporter base.
Oh, supporter base. Cheerleaders. Stadium.
Well, I'm pumping 0 brakes on any cheerleaders. They can cheer all day. My full endorsement to cheer their hearts out. God bless them. Coach, I'm pumping the brakes on is John Gruden. But you know what? Oakland's married to him. They gave him 10 years and $100 million. So good luck with him. But the pump the brakes, I kind of already mentioned him, was Tampa Bay and Fitzmagic.
Yep.
Again, we're going to see who this guy is. But from a pickup guy or a hot name guy, it's Will Dissly of the Seattle Seahawks, their rookie tight end. He had a nice little showing. He played an equal amount of snaps as Nick Vannett, the other tight end. They both played 12 special team snaps the other day. But I think both of these guys are a placeholder until Ed Dickson gets back from the NFI. He's going to miss the first 6 games of the season, and then he's going to come back. So if you're in a tight end premium league, which all of us are together, if you're looking for a guy to stash because you're going to need one, Scott Fishbowl, whatever, the name Ed Dickson is one to keep in the back of your mind. I think Mr. Dissly and Nick Vannett can hold it down. But this Seattle team is going to be behind a lot, and we saw last year when Russell Wilson was passing the ball to the corpse of Jimmy Graham, that if you can get anywhere open near the red zone, he'll fire it to you, and you don't have to be that open. So Will Dissly is someone I'm pumping the brakes on. Look great week 1, great rookie start, but pump those brakes.
Very good. I like
what was that?
Both of those.
You just reminded me of Weekend at Bernie's. Is that like Jimmy Graham? They're carrying him around the field. They're running around. And waving his arms in the air.
Yeah. That's what it looks like. I mean, he was just. But on a side note, that could be Brandon Marshall this year. Brandon Marshall's not Brandon Marshall of 5-6 years ago, but he's still a big guy who's a professional receiver, and he could come down with it. That's a little sneaky, off-topic bring-up of Brandon Marshall if he's available out there.
Yeah, my word.
So have you got someone for Pump the Brakes?
I do. I've got 2 for Pump the Brakes.
You've come prepared. This is the first time in years you've come with like more than one.
Really?
Yeah.
So the first one I've got is Eric Ebron, and the reason I wrote that is because even though he had more fantasy points than, again, Randers, you can back me up, even though he had more fantasy points than Jack Doyle had 10 targets versus Ebron's 5. It's just Ebron got in the end zone. So I think Pump the Brakes on any sort of Ebron is the guy love. It's a bit more of a share. In actual fact, it's probably Jack Doyle.
I think both will be very useful, but yes, I could see where don't get too high. But I'll circle back to our statement that the tight end position's a mystery bag anyway. But I think you can play both. I think outside of T.Y. Hilton, there's I think the pecking order in Indy goes T.Y. Hilton, then Jack Doyle, and then maybe Eric Ebron. Ryan Grant flashed a little bit the other day, but there's no reason why in tight end premium leagues or leagues where you're streaming the position that you can't play ups and Eric Ebron can't be helpful. I just don't think this one is the week. We saw Ricky Seals-Jones struggle against this Washington defense last week. So I don't think this is the week to get cute with Ebron. I think this is a week to get safe and keep Jack Doyle.
No, that sounds good. And the other one I had, I'll apologise in advance, is not really about this player, but Devonta Freeman, he had 6 carries for 36 yards, and he had 3 receptions from 5 targets for 14 yards. Next up is Carolina. They just held Zeke to 69 yards. It's more about Sarkisian than it is Freeman in my mind. And also Freeman got dinged up. So, yeah, we just have to pump the brakes on him for now.
Pump the brakes on the whole Falcons season, mate. The whole defense has gone to the shitter. So mine, I agree with Randers. I had Fitzpatrick down here for the obvious reasons. Like, he's not going to do that again. I've seen him in a ton of leagues that we do. He's just gone off the board straight up, which you can understand. People are always looking for, you know, people might have sucky quarterbacks. I got Joe Flacco down here after his game against Buffalo, but as you know, Randers, we spoke about, Buffalo are probably pretty much packing up and going home already. But I've also got him in our next segment, but for the opposites as well, because he did look good. But I've also got pump the brakes on this could be the year that the Lions have a 100-yard rusher, because I don't think that's happening.
You could be right too.
Not only did the offense the line not protect the star $100 million quarterback, they can't punch holes either.
No. Okay, next segment up, pedal to the metal. So the opposite, obviously, pump the brakes. Pump the brakes, you're stopping the car. Pedal to the metal, accelerating down the road. It's a bit too much exposition, isn't it? I feel like I went a bit too far there.
The way you put it is probably the way you drive.
My little Mazda 2.
I'm talking quarter mile, just plant and go. The next thing you're doing is whacking 2 gears and then pulling the chute. That's pedal to the metal.
Okay.
And not just driving down the road.
You pitched that a little bit nice, a little bit
it's
better
not driving Miss Daisy, mate.
No, it isn't. So, Randy, pedal to the metal. Who have you got?
This is going to maybe seem like an obscure one, but I don't want to give the listeners of the Aussie Guys podcast a basic answer. I'm going Tyler Lockett. Now, he only had 3 catches for, I believe, 60 yards and a touchdown last week, but that was against a really, really good secondary there in Denver. And with Doug Baldwin missing the next 2 to 4 weeks with a knee injury, Russell Wilson needs a go-to pass-catching option, and I like Tyler Lockett. He's a guy in the same vein as Tyreek Hill and T.Y. Hilton, guys with some a guy with some punt returner in their background. And this guy's a full 20 months removed from the leg break that he suffered right around Christmas of 2016. I look for Seattle and the offense to really put the pedal to the metal and get Tyler Lockett even more involved. So that's going to be my guy.
Very nice. Hey, listen, sorry, I just got slightly distracted. Randy, you might have noticed this because I think I tweeted it out to our Twitter group, but you know how you get really strange at this time of year? Well, look, no matter what time of year, when you have waivers, it's always good to look at who people drop as well as who people pick up, because sometimes they'll drop people. We're talking about like future waiver wire picks, right? Sometimes people drop people very prematurely to go and get the shiny new toy. And I tweeted it out to all of you guys that someone in a league...
My wife calls it the G effect.
The G effect?
Yeah, premature.
Oh, no. I don't know where to go now. Lost all concentration. No, someone in an IDP league that I'm in dropped Joey Bosa.
Oh, I saw you tweet that out.
I got him.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
I was 7th.
That's ridiculous.
Seventh waiver wire priority. But I just don't think people noticed. I don't think people noticed.
Because you don't expect someone like him to be dropped.
No.
You're not going through the bees looking for Bosa.
And there was a ton of activity because obviously it was week 1 of the waiver wire.
Yep.
So there was like a couple of pages worth of activity and it flew under the radar. Fist pump.
That's you taking the bell out of the ball.
Oh.
Seriously.
There is a few better feelings in all of fantasy football than when you have your eye on that plum, that cherry waiver wire person, and like, man, you just have to have him, and you don't feel like you've got any shot. Like you just mentioned, you were the 7th priority, and then to wake up, I don't know how it works there because here waivers run overnight, like at 2 or 3 in the morning, and then you wake up, and then like all of a sudden you got that guy. That is a legitimate, like, and you could be in your car, you could be at work, and you look and see that you got that guy. That's a fist pump moment. You're like Tiger Woods out there. You're just like. You're just fist pumping right there wherever you are, and people are looking at you like you're the strangest person. But if they only knew that feeling, they'd fist pump too.
Oh, my word.
Why are you checking your phone while you're in the car? You driving? That's dangerous, Randers.
Stop lights, brother.
This is a stoplight. You got to be doing something, don't you? Those red lights.
Oh yeah. So pedal to the metal.
Pedal to the metal. I've got, mate. Look, no big, but mate, Joe Mixon last week, 95 yards, 1 TD. 54 yards reception, and it's not just, mate, he looked awesome. To me, he looked like the best back that I watched all weekend. Just really? The way he moved, the way he finishes a run, like he was dropping the hammer on anybody that was standing in front of him. Mate, he's one-step explosion. He's mate, a 45-degree cutter, he's a 90-degree cutter. He has it all. He's showing patience. He looked fantastic. And look, the line looks better. The whole offense looks better. Last year, and that's behind them. I think they feel that they have a better chance this year. It's almost as though they played like last year, as though there wasn't the same. They didn't have this sort of fire that I saw the offense play with last week. I just think he's going to be a massive part of this offense. And we spoke about this, Randers, didn't we?
Yeah, I think he was one of my plant your flag guys on the episode that you, myself, and Sheps did.
Yep.
While AJ was taking care of some family business. And listen, I love this guy, and I don't think it was just all that. And I think we're finally starting to see, we didn't see it in the preseason or last year, I think we're starting to finally see the finished product in Cincinnati with Tyler Eifert back, with John Ross. I mean, I know he only had 1 catch, but it was a touchdown. We saw a beautiful catch out of him in the preseason against Buffalo. And you're right, the offensive line looks better. They drafted a center out of Ohio State. They picked up a tackle from the Buffalo Bills. And you're slowly seeing what could be, I don't want to say a sneaky good, but it could be a pretty decent offense this season in Cincinnati. So, yeah, I like the Mixon call.
I've also got another one, Philip Lindsay. Like, how good did he? He just, mate, he's the best back
in Denver.
In Denver,
yes,
without a doubt. Like, look, I wasn't huge on Freeman, and that's not because I don't think he's a good runner. It's just because, as I said when we scouted him, is that his offensive line was so damn good. How do you judge a back with an offensive line that's punching holes that the Titanic could fit through without scraping the iceberg? And Booker's just. He's just a back. There's plenty of those going around the league, and probably some that aren't even on the team at the moment. But he does everything. He's a pass catcher. He runs hard. He's dynamic, and mate, it won't be long. He's going to be leading that backfield in no time at all. So, mate, just keep the pedal to the metal with him. And I just want to put in one more, mate. Frank Gore, mate, he just keeps doing it. Even on the weekend, he had 9 for 61 yards. Mate, 6.8 yards a carry. Mate, he's just incredible. So I had to look up. So, Randers, I looked up, what's some of the most reliable cars that are around? And look, I went through like the top 10 reliable cars, and one of them came up. I don't know if you know it, mate. It's an American one. It's called a Buick Roadmaster Estate Wagon. I don't know if you know the model.
It might be. I think you have to have like what's called a CDL, like the same driver's license to drive a semi here in the States.
It's huge. It's a huge car.
Ginormous is what it is. Yeah, I'm very familiar.
So it's got a 5.7 litre motor, mate.
What?
No, V8. No difference of the motor that's running underneath the pads in Frank Gore, basically, really. And it's got wood panelling. Now, he's been around that long. You could imagine him having a bit of wood panelling underneath the uniform of Frankie Gore. Mate, it's cheap to insure. So you're not paying a lot for Frank Gore. And parts are cheap. And because basically he doesn't break down. And good fuel. Well, you get 24 miles to the gallon. Now, I don't know if that's good, Randy, but for a car that's that big and had a 5.7 litre V8 in it, I reckon that's some pretty good mileage.
It's not too bad. And a 5.7 liter is actually the same base motor as some of the GM-based sports cars.
Yeah, so, it's the same, I think, as the Corvette has a 5.7 litre.
Was at one time, yes, that's very true.
Yep. So there you go. That's I just thought that was my analogy for Frank Gore.
It's funny because you know what I was thinking of when you were talking about that analogy.
But Kenyon Drake looked good.
Yeah, he did. I was thinking of Fine Cotton. The Fine Cotton, the horse racing thing. Yeah. Maybe it isn't Frank Gore.
Wouldn't know about.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah. We had a Fine Cotton affair was in the horse racing industry here, Randers is, and for those people that aren't Australian probably don't know about it, and there's probably Australians that don't know about it, but it was a horse that was entered in a race, and it was made to look like another horse.
They got a really good.
Yeah.
They got one of the favourites basically, dressed it up like Fine Cotton. So Bold Personality was the other horse. And Fine Cotton had like very long odds, and so a ton of money. They put a ton of money on this horse, and it won because it wasn't Fine Cotton.
The horse racing industry in Australia seems to be more crooked than the.
Oh, it's dodgy as all get out, mate. It's dodgy as all get out. Trust me.
They got caught.
Yeah, they got caught.
They got caught.
But Frank Gore, pedal to the metal, Frank Gore, mate. Just keep doing it. And look, someone like him is going to make Kenyon Drake's job a hell of a lot easier.
Oh, my word, it is. My guys, and you know what? We haven't duplicated anyone tonight.
This is great.
Between all three of us. So my two that I have got, I've got Manny Sanders. Now, he is the dude in Denver. Case Keenum's dude. Mm. He was targeted 11 times. He caught 10 of them. He's got hands of, I was going to say stone. That's not necessarily good.
And some of the catches he makes too, running towards the sideline, like just in bounds, the ball's sort of, it's out there, but moving at speed, it does it so easily. I'm guessing Phillip Rivers would wish, how come we don't have one of those here?
Manny Sanders, wow. Yes, so he was 10 for 135 yards and a touchdown. And the other one I'm going back to, so Manny Sanders, I'm going back to the well with both of my choices. Randall Cobb. I'm going Randall Cobb because there's a bit of a lack of passing options actually in Green Bay at the moment. Randall Cobb's Mr. Reliable, especially for Aaron Rodgers. He was targeted 10 times, caught 9 of them for 142 yards and a touchdown. He was on the field for 52 snaps, and that was second only to... Well, Devontae Adams had 59 snaps, and the corpse of Jimmy Graham also had 59 snaps.
Don't write Jimmy Graham off yet, mate. It was just one. It was a bizarre game of football.
Well, it was
especially
a bizarre. Yes,
for Aaron Rodgers, it was just a bizarre. And let's face it, when it comes down to the end of it, he throws it to guys that he's familiar with.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, listen, guys, to close us out, we got some Twitter questions. So let me put these to you guys, and you can let me know what you think. So from Phil, he was saying, should he trade James Conner, like trade him while he's hot? He actually tweeted an offer to us that he had James Conner and Devin Funchess. I don't know why he had to add to it, to be honest, because James Conner's pretty hot value at the moment. Keenan Allen in return. What are your thoughts? Sold.
slam the gavel down like the auctioneer sold.
Yep.
Sold.
Yep.
I'm moving him. James Conner looks really nice, but there's no guarantee that that's his job. I mean, he's looked good. It could be his job, but I don't believe that's a definite. I don't love and I know G is one of the guys that I rely on for college film and college player breakdown as well as Sheps, but I'm not super impressed with this rookie, class coming up in 2019 of potential running backs. And there's no guarantee that they may not draft one, though, and that they may also sign Tevin Coleman or TJ Yeldon type in free agency. There's no 100% locked in stone. It could be Jalen Samuels. You have no idea, and this is a very bird in the hand. If I can walk away with arguably, in my opinion, a top 5 wide receiver, a sold American, I'm taking Keenan Allen and running.
You agree, G?
Top 4. I'd put him in top 3.
Okay. Nice. All right.
I don't get trade offers like that. I get absolute crap. Like, it's just like, it's not even like 60-40, Randers. It's like 20-80. Like, do you think I'm a moron? That's what
I got a Kevin White offer the other day. A guy offered me Kevin White in a 2019 third for a 2019 second. I told him, I said, I hit the no button because there wasn't an F no button.
Nice. That's good. From Peter Randall, he asks, how long might it take for rookie wide receivers to be useful, fantasy-wise?
I think they'll all have some. I mean, the good ones have flex value, I'd say, after like their bye week, somewhere in the middle of the season.
Yep.
I think Cortland Sutton, and I think a lot of rookies are going to need an injury, because we tend to fall in love with that class of 2014 with Mike Evans and Odell Beckham Jr., and I could go on and on. Jarvis Landry was in that class, and that was one of the most fabled classes in all of, wide receiver. But a lot of these guys need time to marinate and time to develop, so don't get too down on the DJ Moores, Dante Pettis, Anthony Miller, guys that weren't super involved in the game plan. It's going to take them some time to get worked up. So from a rookie standpoint, if they can contribute a little bit for me, like on bye weeks and the back end of the season, I really look into that year 2, year 3. So if you have your guy and you have a guy you like I have Dante Pettis everywhere, and I blame G. But if he contributes as early as this year, that's awesome. That's a thumbs up. But if I have to sit on him for a little bit, that's cool too. You got to let these guys develop. And I don't want to forget to mention the name Cortland Sutton. Big fan.
Yeah, look, when I take rookie wide receivers, I don't take, like, especially in Dynasty, I don't take them to be a player in the first season.
Yes.
That's not what I'm looking at all.
No, it's pretty rare. Obviously, there have been ones like Juju, he broke out, and you did mention that 2014 class. Like, obviously, there are exceptions to the rule.
Oh, AJ Green, Julio.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. But generally speaking, wide receivers do take 1 or 2 years. From Daryl Turner, Daz, what teams look like they ignored off-season needs? He says, I know of at least one team that could desperately use a new head coach and offensive coordinator, and he's a Cowboys fan, so I'm guessing he means the Cowboys.
I was going to say, I know a team that could do with a new OC.
Yes, already. Rand, does any teams come to mind that have ignored off-season needs? There's a few, easily.
I don't know how Seattle did not take a shot on Dez. It baffles me. I mean, I'm excited about Tyler Lockett. They've got Doug Baldwin. But when they chose Brandon Marshall over Dez, New England just signed Corey Coleman and someone else. And if you go back, and if you there were some tweets, this was right after he left, his number one option was the Oakland Raiders.
Yes.
Oakland Raiders signed Martavius, drug suspension, to Cummon Bryant. I think they signed the right last name, but the wrong first name. They signed Martavius, and when they should have been signing Dez. Dez would give them a nice third option. I don't trust Seth Roberts. They could kick Amari Cooper into the slot more, where he's ultra effective. He's like best stats come out of the slot and can mix him around with Dez and Jordy, but it just seems odd that no one signed him. So Oakland, Seattle come to mind, top of my head.
Yep, I agree. Anything?
I'm not even going to talk about the OC. Seriously. But look, I see what Daz is saying. Dallas just look... We talk about Sheps with the mixing the chocolate and the vanilla. Like, why you do it, I don't know. Be a man and have chocolate. Actually, I was going to ask you tonight, Randers. I was speaking to a mate, and he doesn't understand the whole mixing of the chocolate and vanilla ice cream in one swirl. Where do you stand on that?
Do your thing, but I'm more of a boring vanilla man with a little bit of candy.
A little bit of candy.
Yeah, but I'm a one flavor. Yeah, some Heath Bar, some toffee, chocolate coated toffee. I'm about that way.
Okay.
All right, nice. From Big Zacco, he says, Julio, does volume trump low touchdowns? In a word, I think yes.
I'll take volume every single day of the week because touchdowns are so unpredictable.
Yep.
Touchdowns will come eventually, but Julio, in spite of everything else, he still led the league in targets last week with 19. The next closest was Michael Thomas with 17. So volume opportunity is going to lead to its own success. So you can't win without yards. You can't win without receptions in PPR. The touchdowns will come. The touchdowns are great, but at the end of the day, they're much more unpredictable. And if you're telling me a guy's going to get 15 plus targets a game, I don't care how many touchdowns he gets. I don't care if he gets 3 like he did last year. I'll take all that opportunity.
Totally agree. That's the first thing you look at is targets.
Now, a question from Jay. This one's a little bit close to home because he's talking about me. So he said, how much is too much to pay for a running back off waivers? So I'll give you guys a bit of context. This is in our redraft league. There are 14 teams, Randy, and
we start
3
running backs. 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, tight end, a flex.
Yes.
And a QB.
Yeah, so that's deep for 14 teams. And I got Philip Lindsay, fist pump moment, 43% of my waiver budget. But I was happy to pay it. For a guy, I reckon I'm going to start for 16 games probably. It's PPR as well.
Philip Lindsay could be the new Danny Woodhead type player. So I don't discount that. And Vance, isn't the head coach there Vance Joseph? And he had some ties to San Diego at one time, if I remember correctly. So I just made all that up on the fly, but I think I think that's correct. But I mean, with the fab budget, what are you going to do? Take it with you? So divide that up by start. So if you paid $48 for a guy off of waivers, and you get 16 games or 15 games out of him, you're really paying about $3 of fab money per start. I mean that's nothing. And what are you going to do? You're going to will your fab money off to your family at the end of the season when you pass away? No, spend it. If you see a guy, and I just did the math, you guys are starting 42 running backs in that league.
Yes.
I mean, in any running back that's going to get 8 to 10 touches a game, yeah. If he's got a pulse, he's got a pulse. You're putting him he's your RB3. Sold. Let's get him out there. So no, you got it. If there's a guy with potential like he's got, hook it up.
And I
spent exactly the same amount, $43.
Did you?
On Philip Lindsay. Yep. In the Australian version of the Scott Fishbowl that we have going here, Randy. I don't know how many teams are in it.
Yeah.
80?
Maybe 80.
Maybe 80. I spent exactly the same amount.
Did you?
Yep. $43.
Well, listen, I mean, I'm painting. The question's sort of about me, and I'm painting it in a very positive light. But here's the other thing that I think is that if you spend money picking up a guy, even if you're spending a little bit more, you're going to get to use him for the whole season, Whereas if you save that money to pick up a guy in week 10, maybe it's going to be useful to you to get into the finals, but you're getting very small use out of the guy. And also, the waiver wire gets thin quickly, apart from injury kind of affected guys.
Very, very much so. In the Scott Fishbowl, I think I paid $90 for Adrian Peterson. And don't care. It's a very first down. It's a point per first down league. There's a lot of things that favor the running back in that league, and I wasn't super strong there outside of Alvin Kamara, so I went for it.
Yeah, no, I agree. But if you got, like you said, if you got the $100 or whatever your budget is, mate, you use it. I see guys at the end of the year that still have the whole amount. Like, why?
Yeah.
Look, I'm willing to back myself that I'll spend my money on guys that I think like Philip Lindsay, and then as I run out of money, I'll back myself to try and be a week ahead of everybody else because I watch nearly every game.
Precisely.
So I just figure that guys wait. They don't watch every game. They don't know every play that's going around and what's happened on the weekend, and I try to use that to my advantage in the end. If I got no, usually I'm out of money by week 3.
Yeah.
If you sort of like.
Yep, exactly. Hey, that's it, guys. Well done.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Oh, it's been great having you on, Randy, and it's been, look, even with some more, greater than conservative editing, this is going to be a long podcast, but hopefully it's an enjoyable one. And
it's the first one.
Football's here, and so we had a lot to talk about. Man,
once Sheps comes back, they'll just get a lot. No, actually, they won't. They'll get longer.
Probably will get longer, but. Yeah, it's great to have football back. And obviously, once this drops, the Thursday night football game between the Bears and... No, I've got the wrong one. Who's playing tomorrow?
Bengals and Ravens.
That's it. Bengals, Ravens.
The Bears and the Seahawks are the Monday night game. So you were right. You were correct in that they were in prime time, just the wrong day.
Yes. I had them on my mind because I remember... seeing that was the next Monday night game and thinking that was a cracker. But, yeah, you're right. So, Bengals and Ravens for Thursday night. So, that would have already finished, and Joe Mixon got, sort of 200 all-purpose yards? Good performance. Well done.
I've got him on a ton of teams. I'm very happy with that.
All right, well, Randy, we'll let you go, but thank you so much. It's been fantastic having you on, as it always is, and people can follow you at DFF Memphis and also listen to you on the Dynasty Warzone. You're doing a fantastic job there, and obviously it's in our rotation. I listen to it all the time, and it's always good value.
Well, thank you both for having me, and you guys were talking about international audiences and things like that. The Australian people are my number 2 audience behind the States. Obviously, being an American-based podcast, that's our primary market, but the Australian people are number 2. You guys continue to hold your strong lead over those damn Canadians. So thank you for the fine folks of Australia.
It's great to have Randy on, and we'll get him back on through the year as well.
For sure.
If he wants to come back.
You guys, I just might move in. You guys be careful with me and Sheps. If me and Sheps move in, this will be the new Dynasty Warzone Australia edition.
That's right.
It'll be like, what was that show with it? I can't think of the guy's name. The mall cop guy. And he had that, he's living in Jersey?
I don't know.
I can't remember. His father-in-law lived downstairs. It was George Costanza's father in Seinfeld.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay.
King of Queens? I think it's King of Queens is the show.
That's not the same guy, though.
Yes, it is.
King of Queens? No. Because King of Queens is Kevin James, isn't it?
Yeah, Kevin James. That's what I'm talking about. Mall Cop. Same guy.
Is that the same guy?
Yeah, same guy. Yeah.
Mall Cop.
That'll be what Randy's like. He'd be living in our basement.
Right.
I'm going to move to Australia. I'm going to work part-time for G, and we're just going to podcast. I'm going to be the newest Australian.
There we go.
I just remember Kramer.
I came up with a name too.
You just reminded me
the Randy Australians.
The Randy Australians. His name was Morty, wasn't it, in Seinfeld? I just remember him and Kramer, they were doing the Manzia. Remember the Manzia?
The bro.
Yeah,
the bro.
That's right. Randy, thanks so much. We'll let you go. Always a pleasure.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
All right, bud. Thanks, mate.
See ya. All right, G, that was fantastic. That's our Week 2 preview pod in the books. You've got to think of a theme and a graphic now.
I do.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And I'll get stuck into editing. It's a long one, but hopefully an enjoyable one.
And we'll try and improve each week.
We'll try and improve each week. Well,
we should always everybody should aim to improve it no matter what it is that they do.
Of course.
And we really need, it's not going to take much to improve for us, really, is it? If it's not for Randers, mate, he held us together.
Yeah, no, it was very, very good. It's very, very good having him on, as always. All right, G, well let's wrap it up. Thanks for listening, everybody. On behalf of G and myself, we'll catch you next time.